Hello kids, welcome to grade 9 history class. Today's class we are discussing the chapter 1 which is French Revolution chapter, and आज का जो session है that will be session 8. So let's start with it. Before starting the session 8, let's recap what we have discussed in session 7. So our session 7 what we have discussed, that was the reign of terror. तो reign of terror में what we have seen कि it was a 1 year period that started from 1793 to 1794, and who ruled the France at that time? Yes, Robespierre ruled the France at that time, and his policy was very controlling, and also if people didn't agree with him, then he used to give them punishment. So what he used to do कि whosoever he saw as his enemy or enemies of the republic, then even if they were ex-nobles or clergies or members of other parties or even members of his own party, still he got them arrested or imprisoned, or they were put to court of the law, or they were put to court of the law, and if the court of the law found them guilty, then they were guillotined. And what was guillotine? That was a device that was used to behead people, and it was invented by Dr. Guillotin. That's why it was called guillotine. Now also we saw कि जो उसकी गवर्नमेंट थी रॉबेस्पियर की, they put a maximum ceiling on the wages की wages cannot be increased or after a certain level, and also जो rationing थी वो की गई, food पे जो meat and bread पे rationing की गई, and you must be remembering कि the bread was the staple diet of France. And the peasants, they have to sell their grains to the city. They cannot just sell it anywhere, and the price that they have to sell the grains, that was fixed by the government. So Robespierre was controlling everything. Everywhere he was trying to control, severe control he was trying to have on everything. And then after a while what happened, people were very unhappy with him, and in the end he was tried in the court, he was sentenced, and the very next day he was also guillotined. The same way he was doing with other people. So that was the end of the reign of terror. That was the 1 year period. So let's start with session 8. Now the session 8 is how a directory rules France. जो एक directory है उसने France को कैसे rule किया. So now we'll see that. The fall of the Jacobin government allowed the wealthier middle classes to seize power. So Jacobin की जो government थी वो जो higher middle class है उसकी government नहीं थी, because जो Jacobin we have seen the political clubs थे where people used to sit and talk about it. So Jacobins में बहुत ज़्यादा wealthy लोग नहीं थे. That's why जो उनकी government थी वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा wealthier middle class की नहीं थी. So now when the Jacobin government, Robespierre का जब end हो गया, then the wealthier middle class, they got the opportunity to get the control over France. A new constitution was introduced which denied the vote to non-propertied sections of the society. Now after this, after the Jacobin government का जो fall है, उसके बाद एक नया constitution को introduce किया गया जिसमें deny किया गया voting rights को उन सभी लोगों के जो भी किसी भी property को own नहीं करते थे. तो anybody who was non-propertied, जो society का जो section था उनको voting rights नहीं दिए गए. So this is how we are seeing how things are changing in France. It provided for 2 elected legislative councils. So now the changes that we were there now. So now that the changes they were doing, now it will be 2 elected legislative councils. So they were trying to change things up. So they were trying कि things will start working, moving in right direction, because they have seen कि they have changed things. Jacobin government came, but it didn't work out well for them, and also it was a reign of terror, and it was a reign of period of severe control and severe punishment. So now what they were doing, they were trying to change things, and they were trying to do things that were right for the people. These then appointed a directory and executive made up of 5 members. So जो उन्होंने लेजिस्लेटिव 2 लेजिस्लेटिव को अब सोचा कि नाउ दे विल बी 2 लेजिस्लेटिव, अब नाउ दे विल अपॉइंट अ डायरेक्टरी, उसके बाद वो लोग एक डायरेक्टरी अपॉइंट करेंगे एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव मेड अप ऑफ 5 मेंबर्स. नाउ जो एग्जीक्यूटिव होंगे वो 5 मेंबर होंगे उसमें. सो दे वर ट्राइंग टू डू थिंग्स इन सच वे कि जो एक पावर है वो किसी एक के हाथ में ना रहे, बिकॉज दे हैव सीन विद द जैकोबिन्स गवर्नमेंट कि किसी एक के हाथ में पावर होने से इट वाज गेटिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर एवरीबडी. So this was meant as a safeguard against the concentration of power in a one-man executive as under the Jacobins. So Jacobins के अंडर में उन्होंने देखा कि जब एक आदमी के हाथ में जो पावर होती है, so कैसे whatever he wants to do he will do, and if people didn't agree with him, then he used to put them in jail or get them in the court of law where they were guillotined. So that's why we are seeing throughout the sessions ki how things are changing in France, how it started from Louis XVI and how they have gone through so many changes, and they're trying to do everything that everything works out well for the people of the country. However, the directors often clashed with the legislative councils, who then sought to dismiss them. Now what they were doing, they were having the things changed so that power won't be with one person. They were trying to see कि जो power है वो लोगों में divide हो जाए, and वो जो सारे लोग हैं उनके पास there is a chance कि वो लोगों के हित के बारे में सोचें. But what happened when there are too many people in the power? What happens? They have their own will, they have their own thinking. So what they do, they clash with each other, and this is what was happening there. कि there were too many people who were in the power, so उनकी जो अपनी सोच है उससे उनके अंदर जो clashes है वो होने लगे, because whatever they thought right, they thought they will do that. So उसकी वजह से लोगों में जो एक क्लैश है वो होने लगा. तो they were trying to change things, but what happens कि clashes होने लगे. So जो उन्होंने सोचा था कि जो पावर है उसको डिवाइड कर देंगे तो things would be different for the better. But यहाँ पे people started having their own opinions and their own way to rule the France. उसकी वजह से they were having a lot of problem. तो उसकी वजह से फिर उन्हें जो है वो इन सब चीज़ों को डिसमिस करना पड़ा. The political instability of the territory paved the way for the rise of a military dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte. तो जो ये political instability थी, because France में we have seen कि how many things have changed since now. Since session 1 we have seen things are changing, revolutions are happening, and people are trying to change things. And now with the Jacobins government, they thought things will change to the better, but after that also they have seen how controlling he was. Now what they did ki whatever wrong was happening with the Jacobins government, they tried to fix it. When they tried to fix it, that the power shouldn't be with one person, and they gave the power to more than one person. They have more directors now this time. That also was not working out. So जो political instability थी जिसकी वजह से, because they were not having one ruler, and even the Jacobins government, it worked only for 1 year. So because of so much political instability जो थी, डायरेक्टरी की जो वो वर्क नहीं कर रही थी, उसकी वजह से इसने एक राइज जो हुआ वो हुआ मिलिट्री डिक्टेटर का, जो थे नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट. तो नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट जो थे वो एक मिलिट्री डिक्टेटर थे, और उन्होंने फिर फ्रांस का जो शासन है फिर उन्होंने अपने हाथ में लिया. through all these changes in the form of government, the ideals of freedom, of equality before the law, and of fraternity remained inspiring ideals that motivated political movement in France and the rest of Europe during the following century. So जो भी ये changes फ्रांस में हुए, the government changed and इतनी सारे चीज़ें change हुई, इतने सारे revolution हुए, people tried to change so many things. We have seen कि people were given natural rights, and first it was the age that they can vote, it was 25 years, then it got changed to 21 years. So many things they have changed, but they have kept something जो उन्होंने एक उसके basis पे रखा, that was the ideals of freedom जो है, सबको freedom मिलनी चाहिए, and equality जो है before the law वो होना चाहिए कि जो लोग एफ्लुएंट लोग हैं या फिर जो पीसेंट्स हैं या फिर मेड्स हैं, सर्वेंट्स हैं, लॉ उन सबके लिए बराबर होने चाहिए. सो एवरीबडी शुड हैव द इक्वलिटी बिफोर लॉ. एंड ऑल्सो जो और नेचुरल राइट्स हैं जो बाय बर्थ लोगों को मिलने चाहिए, एंड एवरीबडी शुड गेट देम, वो जो चीज़ें थी दैट वर द बेसिस ऑफ ऑल दीज चेंजेस, एंड पीपल वर फाइटिंग फॉर ऑल दीज चेंजेस. हाउ वी हैव सीन कि वहाँ पे ब्रेड का प्राइस बढ़ जाता था, देन पीपल यूज टू हैव वेरी हार्ड टाइम उसकी वजह से. सो दे वर ट्राइंग टू डू एवरीथिंग राइट फॉर द फ्रांस, फॉर द पीपल ऑफ द फ्रांस. सो जो एक कोर बेसिक जो उनका था, सो वो दे वांटेड टू कीप इट एट द प्लेस कि लोगों के जो राइट्स हैं वो उनको मिलें. और that thing only motivated political movements in France. So many political movements we have seen in France. So that was at the core of everything, because they wanted to have the right of the people, individual जो rights हैं, natural rights हैं. This is why so many movements were happening in the France. And the rest of Europe too. So जो rest of Europe है उसमें भी these all things were happening, and it was all happening during the following century. तो इतने सारे लंबे टाइम तक these all things were happening. They were trying to fix, and they were trying to have a stable government. They were trying to have everything what it is supposed to be. So France was going through so many changes, so many political changes, for all that, for keeping all these rights of the people intact. So what did we learn today in this session? That how a directory rules France. So after Louis XVI, it came the Jacobins government, and then it didn't work out. It worked only for 1 year. तो जो 1 year period था वो आपको याद है बच्चों क्या था? Yes, वो 1 year period था 1793 to 1794, and he was guillotined. तो जैकोबिन्स था उसको गिलेटिन कर दिया गया, एंड उसके बाद जो एक डायरेक्टरी थी, डायरेक्टरी ने रूल करा फ्रांस को. सो वी हैव सीन इन दिस सेशन कि हाउ अ डायरेक्टरी ट्राई टू रूल द फ्रांस, बट दैट ऑल्सो डिडंट वर्क आउट द वे दे वांटेड, एंड हाउ देयर वाज अ राइज ऑफ अ मिलिट्री डिक्टेटर नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट. सो जो नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट है, हु इज़ वेरी फेमस डिक्टेटर, उनका जो राइज है, हाउ did that happen? So we have seen कि because of the political instability in the France, with the directory when it ruled France, with all that whatever was happening in the France, because of that there was a rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, and then after that, after the directory, Napoleon Bonaparte took things in his own hands. So that's what happened in the France after the directory. So this is all for this session. Thank you.